Hello and welcome to week number 2 of 3-in-1, Discovering Our Triune God Through Science and Experiment. And today's video is going to connect with Acts chapter 12, the biblical account of an angel rescuing Peter from prison. And in Acts chapter 12, we learn that God sent an angel to rescue Peter. And further, we know that God sends angels to rescue and to help you and me as well. Hebrews chapter 1 verse 14 says this: "Are angels not all ministering spirits sent out to serve for the sake of those who are to inherit salvation?" In other words, has God not created legions of angels to care for people like you and me, to serve us, to help us, and to keep us safe? In today's video experiment, we're going to use some things that you have in your homes. And we're going to ask the question, will this sink or will this float? For this experiment, you will need various objects from your home that sink or float, a large bowl or container filled with water, one peeled orange, one orange without a peel, and a towel to keep things dry. For today's experiment, I've gathered a handful of household items that you and your family might have at your house. The items you use don't have to be the same as mine. Like I said, I just grabbed a couple things that we've got in our house. And how this works is you fill up your jug of water, in this case a beverage dispenser, and you get your items ready and you get yourself a towel. And we're going to look at these items and we're going to ask ourselves, do I think that this is going to sink to the bottom of my water or float on top of the water when we put it inside? So let's look at our items. The first thing I've got here is a plastic toy boat. Now, do you think that this item is going to sink or float? Let's find out. It doesn't stay upright, but it does in fact float on the water. And I've got another item here. This is a toy four-wheeler. And do you think that this toy is going to sink or float? Let's find out. And that one goes straight to the bottom. It makes me wonder, what is it about this boat that makes it float and this other toy that makes it sink way to the bottom? It's a good question. I've got two more items here. I've got a real golf ball and I've got a plastic toy golf ball. Do you think this toy, let's do the real golf ball. Do you think this real golf ball is going to sink or float? Let's find out. Oh, that went straight to the bottom, huh? Wasted no time getting to the bottom there. Our real golf ball, it sinks. Now we've got a toy one, it's plastic. Goes with my Little Tykes golf set that we've got at our house. And do you think it's going to sink or float? Oh, and that one floats right there on top of the water, doesn't it? And so, again, we ask ourselves, what is it about these two items that makes this plastic golf ball float and this regulation golf ball sink to the bottom? Well, before we get to these last two, let's look at it. This one's a pretty, it's heavier than this one. There's some metal in it, and whereas this one has got a large surface area on the bottom and it's hollow on the inside. This one is obviously, it's a boat, so it's made to float, whereas the other one isn't. And again, here, this plastic golf ball is nothing more than a thin layer of plastic with air on the inside. And this one has got a dense core full of things that makes this golf ball fly the way that golf balls do. And it's because the way these things are designed, they have different levels of buoyancy, or in other words, is it good at floating or not? And the water has a certain level of buoyancy as well. The particles in the water, they're all moving around in there, and they're spread out a certain bit. And the things that float, they are less dense. Their particles are further apart and distributed differently than the water. And those that sink, their particles are denser or more compact, and they sink into the water. And so something that's fascinating me is this orange. I've been smelling it the whole time because I took the peel off. And for the last part of the experiment, you're going to need one orange that has a peel on it and one orange that has been peeled already. And so I want you to pause and ask yourselves, if I put both these oranges in the water, will one sink and one float? Will they both float? Or will they both sink to the bottom? What do you think? Interesting. Let's find out. Let's count down from 3. We'll go 3, 2, 1, and then we'll drop them in. Will you count with me? 3, 2, 1. Well, how about that? The orange that's got its peel on it floated right back up to the top. I'll just leave that in. Where the orange without a peel sunk right to the bottom. And the thing about oranges is that they're a very dense fruit. If you're to pick up an orange, there's a lot to it. You can squeeze it. It's full of juice. It's full of fruit on the inside, and that is more dense. It's denser than the water we're putting it in. But God has created this orange peel to surround this fruit and protect this fruit. And inside this orange peel are tiny little pockets of air. And those pockets of air allow this orange to float on top of the water. It makes it much more buoyant than the inside of the orange. And so it's interesting that the outer protective layer of the orange is what keeps it from sinking to the bottom. So if I drop this orange, not a big deal. It'll float back to the top. I can pick it right up. I can peel it and eat it. And the oranges in our experiment today, they remind us that God has protected us with his angels. And that God's angels have been sent into creation to serve us and to help us and to protect us, just as they protected Peter in Acts chapter 12. And even better than that, God has sent his son Jesus. And the love of Jesus, the forgiveness of Jesus, the grace and mercy of Jesus wrap us up and surround you and me totally and completely to keep us safe forever from sin, from death, and from the power of the devil. I hope you enjoyed our video. I hope that you have some fun recreating this and adding your own twists to our experiment today. And I even hope you were right guessing, will it float or will it not? As always, you can notice in the comments or the description of this video, there is a link to a PDF document that you can download at your house. You can talk about this experiment, you can make it your own, and you can see more about how this experiment connects with the truth of God's word, that Jesus has protected you and that God sends his angels to serve and keep you safe. May God bless you this week, and I look forward to joining you next time in 3 in 1, discovering our triune God through science and experiment. Bye-bye.